I think the wine is about the only thing to remember of that bizarre year.
We had to be agile on every part of this vintage.
It's a vintage in which we had to face many challenges.
They were in lockdown. Fortunately, the French government said agriculture was a priority. It was not the easiest of climatic conditions, but they've done amazingly to pick the fruit in perfect condition.
Whilst we'd love to be in Bordeaux, we're not, which is very frustrating. So what they've done is send the samples over to us.
We've just tasted 80 wines today. 2 weeks ago, we had just under 200 samples.
Tasting them back to back to back, basically, in an afternoon, you get to know what the identity of the vintage is.
So in terms of the weather during the 2020 growing season, it was very wet in the spring.
Budding was early. The vines were 3 weeks in advance, and there was some frost.
Mid-March, we were all supposed to be under lockdown, but we didn't stop one day. We just continued because it was an early vintage and we had to do so much in the field.
Then it became really quite warm in the summer.
There was almost no rain at all in the core summer months. And so the best located vineyards coped because they had good water retention. If you were close to the river or you had good clay, you retained the moisture and kept the vines going.
But then, of course, you get into the timing of when you pick the grapes. Now, there were sporadic showers up and down on both sides of the river. And then there was seemingly this cut-off point at the beginning of October that if you waited too late, the rain came down. Some people picked surprisingly early, but they picked when the grapes tasted correct to them.
We had the time to pick the things at the right moment just to have the perfect expression.
Those wise wineries that looked at the weather forecast and tasted their grapes made the best wines.
We have a wonderful technical team of people who who love Pichon Baron and its wines. They have to have a sort of artistic sensibility, if you like, to the actual character and personality of the grapes that are coming in and adjust the winemaking techniques accordingly.
The idea of this year was to be extremely soft and gentle in terms of vinification because the ripeness was here. The berry was extremely small, so it was easy to be too much.
It was a complex meteorological conditions, but it gives us complex wines.
We want to preserve the balance. We want to preserve the fruity aspect of the wine. We want to preserve the very silky tannins and have nothing harsh, nothing aggressive.
The wines are very bright, seemingly ripe. They're quite dark colours, pungent, fruit-forward flavours.
The wines have got a lovely volume. They've got a really nice richness of fruit. The tannins are very fine. They're silky. There's an elegance to them. Very nicely balanced. They support the fruit.
On the back end of the best wines, there's fresh tannin, fresh acidity, which lifts the palate.
So it's a beautiful, complex, powerful and intense wine.
You have the vibration of the fruit, you have a lot of floral flavor, we like it. You have power, but delicatesse of the texture.
The power, the freshness of the wine will carry them for a long time.
It's a classic Saint-Estèphe, it's a classic Meyney.
You have this freshness, not due to the acidity, but to the touch, to the style of the berries that we have harvested. That's the real specificity of this 2020 vintage.
It's a very deep wine, and all the people coming now, like they have a butterfly in their eyes, like wow, it's amazing, it's so good.
Buying on Primeur can be risky, so it's about relationship with your merchant.
Please take advice. This is not a vintage where you can rely on the Chateau name just to give you a great wine.
That's where our expertise lies, is being able to have a discussion with someone, look at their budget, their style preferences, and then we can guide them in their choices.
If you choose well, I mean, you really won't be disappointed.
In this period of lockdown, we have been enjoying wines from our cellars. I've been sharing them with my children, and suddenly, it's reintroducing them to what Bordeaux is about.
We love histories, we love stories and the people behind them. And so that's what's important to us.
Since the last 20 years, Bordeaux has never been producing such great vintages.
It's an exceptional land, a land of history, a land of passion, with passionate people.
You really want these wines to be the best in the world. And when they are, it's extremely gratifying. And I think I've seen a little bit of that in the 2020 vintage.